Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I welcome you all to today's exclusive session, Education Department Program Overview and Impact. In today's session, we will get insights about the International Open University IOU's Education Department's programs, courses, and its impact. I am pleased to welcome Sister Sarah Tariq Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear brothers and sisters, I would like to welcome you all to this particular session, which has been designed to give you an overview of our academic programs, our educational philosophy, as well as our community impact within and created by the courses that are being currently offered by the Education Department. So let's begin by speaking about our educational philosophy in order to understand the foundation on which our academic courses have been designed. Now, basically, what we need to understand here is that at the very heart of IOU's educational philosophy is the basic understanding that education is not simply the act of teaching or is not simply a professional activity, but in fact, it is something that should be considered as an act of ibadah as well as an amana. Because by educating students in the right direction and in the right way, we actually have the power as educators to impact an entire community. So, if we keep this particular worldview in mind, we understand that teaching, in fact, is a deeply spiritual as well as an intellectual activity. It is, in fact, an act of worship that we carry out intentionally and consciously because we are seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And at the same time, it is also a trust that is placed upon us as educators to guide learners. And this is trust is placed upon us not only by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it is also placed upon us by parents of our students, by our society members, by our organization leaders, and so on and so forth. And this is why we need to guide our learners with honesty, care, as well as with the right level of accountability. So, this perspective actually elevates teaching beyond routine instruction and it places it as a moral as well as an ethical responsibility that shapes the lives, minds, as well as the characters of our students who would then be our future generations. So, through this philosophy, IOU in fact prepares educators to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by serving humanity itself. So, teaching, in fact, then becomes a purposeful act, one that is actually aligned with professional excellence as well as with spiritual accountability. So, educators are guided to approach their role with humility, reflection, as well as with a strong sense of duty. Because as educators, we have to ensure that knowledge is imparted ethically and responsibility. And then, of course, there has to be a genuine concern for the learner's growth in both this world as well as in the hereafter. So, building upon this particular concept of education, IOU then places strong emphasis on cultivating core values. And these values are the ones that define both our personal conduct as well as our professional teaching practice. Our programs intentionally nurture learners nurture learners. And of course, these we need to understand that when we are nurturing our students, we are trying to inculcate in them a sense of compassion, fairness, as well as sincerity. The most important thing to understand here is that all of these may sound abstract, but are not in fact abstract ideals. They are actually principles that we have to live by and are lived principles. And these are the ones that influence how educators interact with learners, their colleagues, as well as the wider community. Now, purposeful teaching, as I've mentioned, is in fact a defining element of IOU's educational philosophy. Graduates here are guided to understand that their roles as teachers, as school leaders, as well as educational professionals are a form of meaningful means of service rather than personal advancement alone. This is why teaching is actually framed as a form of service to the ummah, and this is a responsibility that we have to understand has been placed upon us as educators to guide future generations and a commitment to upholding ethical and moral standards within educational contexts. At the same time, purposeful teaching also emphasizes ethical responsibility, like I just mentioned. Educators are expected to model professionalism, fairness, and moral conduct in their teaching practice. And this is why, while designing the courses here at IOU, and in fact, the entire programs have been designed in a way that our graduates are equipped not only with the pedagogical knowledge of how to teach maths, the sciences, Islamic studies, but we also inculcate amongst them a strong sense of mission, whereby the understanding is that education is a long term investment in people. It's a long term investment in our communities, as well as a long term investment in the moral fabric of our society. On that note, let's speak about the programs that are currently being offered by the Education Department. Now, the Education Department here at IOU offers a comprehensive range of programs, and all of these are designed to support educators at different stages of their professional journey. These programs reflect IOU's commitment to accessible, value driven, and academically rigorous teacher education. So, from our certificates to postgraduate qualifications, each of the programs are built or are structured in a way to build pedagogical competence while reinforcing ethical and professional responsibility as an educator. Now, the certificate programs, including the higher certificate in education as well as the postgraduate certificate in education, have been designed to provide focused pathways for practicing educators and even for aspiring educators to strengthen their foundational teaching skills and classroom practice. The Diploma in Education offers a more in depth engagement with pedagogy, curriculum, and assessment, supporting educators seeking structured professional growth. Now, at the undergraduate and postgraduate levels, the Bachelor of Education with specialization in English, as well as the Masters of Education, have been designed to prepare educators for advanced teaching, leadership, as well as academic roles. Now, these programs emphasize reflective practice, research informed teaching, and contextual relevance. So, collectively, we can say that IOU's education programs aim to produce competent, ethical, and purpose driven educators who can then contribute meaningfully to their societies. Now, let's have a look at each of these certificates and different programs in a little more detail. Let's begin with the higher certificate in education. Now, the higher certificate in education is designed as an accessible 1 year foundational qualification for emerging educators who wish to begin their journey in the field of teaching as well as in educational practice. Now, this program equips students with core educational concepts, professional skills, and foundational knowledge that would help them support effective classroom teaching and then also engage with broader educational theory. So, in the first semester, the students begin with Socio-Philosophy of Education, a course that introduces the philosophical and sociological foundations of education. And this helps students understand how education functions within communities as well as within cultures. And this also helps students to understand how different schools of thought within the education sphere influence teaching practice and how these schools of thought have evolved over time. So, alongside this, we have a course in educational psychology, which provides insight into learner development, motivation, as well as the psychological factors that affect learning outcomes. The program also includes educational technology and innovation, which helps students to confidently use instructional technologies to enhance their teaching and learning practice. Then we have a course on English language studies, which is designed to strengthen communication skills that are essential for effective instruction, and Islamic Studies 1, which ensures that graduates are grounded in ethical perspectives. And this is where the alignment with IUU's mission and educational philosophy comes in. And then for those students who are on the English stream, we have communicative English, which further develops practical linguistic competence. Then in the second semester, the focus shifts towards more applied and professional areas. Educational measurements and evaluation introduces assessment principles and techniques for evaluating learner achievement. Curriculum design and evaluation help students learn how curricula are constructed and assessed to meet learning goals. The Educational Technology and Innovation Laboratory builds practical skills in applying technology for pedagogy. Subject teaching methodologies and literacies provides strategies for planning and delivering meaningful lessons. An introduction to computers instruction prepares students to use essential educational technologies effectively. Students also continue their ethical and personal development with Islamic Studies 2, and those in the English stream progress into Fundamental English 1. So, overall, this higher certificate serves as an excellent springboard into more advanced qualifications, while also preparing students to contribute as emerging educators in diverse learning contexts. Moving on to our Diploma in Education program. Now, the diploma is a 2-year undergraduate program that builds on the foundation laid in the higher certificate, and it deepens students' understanding of the field of education. It is designed for learners who are committed to becoming professional educators and equally for those who want to integrate Islamic ethical values with contemporary educational practice. Now, the diploma begins again with the foundational courses, and these include your socio-philosophy of education. Again, this course encourages students to examine the philosophical underpinnings of education as a social institution. Complementing this is the course on educational psychology. The program also continues the development of digital pedagogical skills through educational technology and innovation, preparing future teachers to use modern tools to support learning. And then, of course, we have the English language studies and English stream options as we had for the higher certificate course. Then, if we look at the second year, as the students progress to the second year, they are now introduced to more specialized topics. And these topics include early childhood education. This is where they explore child growth and development theories and how to support young learners. Then the program includes subject teaching methodologies and literacies, which focuses on planning, designing, and delivering effective lessons across subjects. There is another important course on educational administration and management, which prepares students to take on leadership roles. Then we have a course on population education, which helps our students to understand demographic influences on education systems. These courses also integrate Islamically rooted perspectives through the continued study of Islamic studies and enrich literacy through literature and expressive arts offered within the English stream. So the IOU Diploma in Education combines pedagogy, digital competency, as well as ethical foundations. And all of these are required for equipping our graduates with the right skills and insights that they need to serve as effective educators in global contexts. Our next important academic overview is about our Bachelor of Education program, and this is an education degree with a specialization in English. So this is a 4-year undergraduate degree, and it prepares students to become professional teachers with a solid grounding in both education theory and English language instruction. This degree not only prepares students for classroom teaching, but also positions them for leadership roles in educational settings. Now, in the early semesters, students engage deeply with core educational subjects such as the socio-philosophy of education. And again, as I mentioned before as well, when we were speaking about the certificate and diploma programs, this is an important course because it situates the profession within the philosophical and societal context. This is followed by educational psychology, a course in educational technology and innovation, followed by English language studies and Islamic studies 1, similar to our first semester courses for higher certificate and diploma programs. The second semester courses again are similar to those offered offered in the programs that were previously mentioned. And then we move on to the third and the fourth semester, where the courses are similar to those offered in the diploma program. So, as a review, as the program progresses, you can see that students are then to take courses on curriculum design and evaluation. They are to take courses on educational measurements and evaluation. Then, of course, there is an education psychology laboratory over here as well, which actually helps students apply theory to real classroom scenarios. Now, students also study subject teaching methodologies and literacies to explore effective teaching strategies across disciplines and intro to computers instruction, which again, as I mentioned before, prepares students to utilize and incorporate digital tools into the learning process. Now, moving on to the next semesters. Now, in the final phase of the Bachelor of Education program with specialization in English, and this spans from semesters 5 to 8, the program shifts decisively from foundational preparation to professional mastery, specialization, and applied practice. Now, at this stage, students are no longer only learning about education, they are learning how to function as competent, ethical, and reflective educators in real educational contexts. Furthermore, the curriculum is intentionally designed to integrate pedagogy, subject expertise, research competence, and field based teaching experience. So, semester 5, as you can see over here, begins by broadening students' understanding of educational contexts through pre primary education, where they explore early childhood development, age appropriate pedagogy, and play based learning. This is complemented by teaching of Islamic studies, which reinforces IUU's commitment to values based education and ethical instruction. At the same time, if we look at the courses in semester 6, we can see that the focus moves towards educational systems, research literacy, and curriculum engagement. Elementary education equips students with strategies for teaching at the primary level, addressing learner diversity, and classroom organization. Educational research and research methodology introduce students to systematic inquiry, preparing them to read, evaluate, and eventually conduct educational research. Alongside this, the English stream includes history of English literature and Commonwealth literature, enabling students to understand the historical evolution of English literature and its global dimensions. This balance ensures that graduates are not only skilled teachers, but also informed scholars of their discipline. Then, semester 7 marks a critical transition into practice oriented professional preparation. Courses such as environmental education and peace and value education reflect our emphasis on socially responsible teaching, sustainability, as well as moral development. Now, if you look at the course that's mentioned over here, and it's called Teaching Practice 1, this course has been designed to allow students to apply whatever they have learned throughout the degree program in real classroom settings, and they have to complete this course under the right supervision. So, this experiential learning is necessary and it is further enriched by another course that is offered in the next semester, and it's called Teaching Practice 2. The remaining courses for semester 8 represent the culmination of the B.Ed journey. So we have courses such as physical and health education, we have special needs education, and these courses ensure that our graduates are prepared to address holistic learner development and inclusive education practices. As I've mentioned before as well, teaching practice 2 builds upon earlier field experience, which the students are going to experience in semester 7. And this would allow them to demonstrate professional competence, which again would be required for their portfolios and everything, because there are a lot of schools out there that do require some sort of experience teaching inside the classroom before you are actually hired as a full-time teacher. So, portfolio building and having this experience is essentially extremely important at this level. Then, at the academic level, students are required to complete an educational research treatise. This serves as a capstone project integrating your research skills, the reflective practices, and educational theory. So, overall, this advanced phase of the B.Ed English program ensures that graduates leave IOU not merely as subject specialists, but as professionally trained educators who can teach effectively, conduct research responsibly, and serve society with integrity. Now, let's speak about the postgraduate certificate in education. Now, this is a 1 year professional qualification, and it is designed to develop graduates and diploma holders into effective classroom educators. Furthermore, a postgraduate certificate in education is also an essential requirement to get hired as a teacher, and this requirement is dominant in a lot of countries. So, this program is basically ideal for students who may have a bachelor's degree or a diploma and who want to aspire to formal teaching roles in primary or maybe in secondary schools. So, the PGCE actually places strong emphasis on bridging theory and practice. If you look at the modules mentioned over here, the curriculum includes core modules, and these begin with education studies. This encourages critical reflection on the functions, philosophies, and social roles of education. Then we have Islamic pedagogy, again, aligned with our philosophy. This course ensures that learners understand what culturally responsive and ethical grounded approaches to teaching are. Then we have work integrated learning places, work integrated learning, and this places students in real classroom environments where they can actually apply whatever they have of pedagogical knowledge under structured supervision. Then we have complementary electives that include educational psychology, educational technology, and innovation, and these allow students to deepen their understanding of learning processes. The specialization practicum, whether it's mathematics, whether it's in sciences, languages, or Islamic studies, all of these ensure that PGCE graduates are pedagogically prepared to teach their chosen subject areas with competence, relevance, and ethical integrity. And then we have our Masters of Education program. Now, this is a 2 year postgraduate degree designed for experienced educators, school leaders, and educational professionals who wish to deepen their expertise in the theory and practice of education. So, the first semester here basically focuses on research methodology in education. This is required because we need a strong foundation to equip our students with the right skills. Then we have another course, which is education studies, and it allows students to engage at an advanced level with historical, philosophical, and sociological foundations of education. Then in the second semester, students develop their research proposal in education, which serves as the basis for a minor dissertation completed in the latter semesters. The curriculum offers specializations such as diversity and equity in education. Now, this explores socio-cultural dynamics as well as inclusive teaching practices. Pedagogical approaches for the 21st century examine innovative practices which have been introduced in this era. So basically, all of these modules have been designed in a way to prepare our students to lead as well as innovate in their professional environments. Now, if you look at the final semester, there is a minor dissertation in education, and this is where students apply research knowledge to real problems of practice. So, graduates of our master's program basically emerge, or they may emerge, inshallah, as expert educators, as maybe leaders, even policy influencers, and researchers capable of shaping educational practice as well as scholarship with the right vision. So, to sum it up, at the International Open University, education is understood not simply as a pathway to employment, but as a deeply meaningful journey of service, character formation, and lifelong learning in devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, this philosophy transforms teaching into an act of worship where students are guided to see their future roles as teachers, school leaders, principals, or education workers. So, we need to understand that central to this entire approach is the shaping of personal character. IOU's education programs have been intentionally designed in a way to ground our students in Islamic values. And the dominant Islamic values here would be mercy, justice, patience, and sincerity. All of these are important attributes that an educator must have. So, graduates are basically encouraged throughout their programs to embody compassion in their interactions, fairness in their assessments, patience in their teaching, and sincerity in their intentions. This philosophy also guides how knowledge is taught. Students are trained to weave Quranic and prophetic perspectives naturally into their lessons so that education strengthens faith rather than weakening it. Then, equally important over here is the emphasis on lifelong learning, as we can see. IOU nurtures educators as continuous seekers of knowledge. It encourages reflection, it encourages professional growth throughout a person's career. So, our students are basically trained to update their skills and refine their teaching practices and be lifelong learners so that they continue to do so even once they have joined their desired careers. On that note, I would like to mention that with this entire vision and mission at its core, IOU is pleased to announce the spring 2026 admissions, and these are now open for our certificate, diploma, bachelor's, master's program in education. These programs are designed to make quality, values based education accessible to learners across the globe, especially those who seek flexibility, affordability, as well as academic credibility without compromising on ethical foundations. So, all education programs at IOU are delivered fully online. The self paced learning model empowers our students to progress at a pace which they can manage. It also makes higher education possible for working professionals, for parents, and for community educators who may not have access to, or it may not be convenient for them to attend traditional campus based universities. Now, our programs are part of a broader academic ecosystem that includes Islamic studies, business, administration, finance, psychology, Arabic. So, this kind of environment allows education students to engage with diverse fields, which would further enhance their intellectual ability and prepare them to teach and lead in complex, interconnected societies. Now, as part of the spring 2026 intake, prospective students also benefit from a limited time 20% discount on the first semester fee, making this an ideal opportunity to begin or advance a career in education. So, by enrolling at IOU, students are not simply joining a degree program, they are becoming part of a global community committed to knowledge, service, and ethical leadership. So, this basically is an invitation from our side to come and join us in order to learn with purpose, teach with compassion, and serve our communities with sincerity. So, if you have any questions and answers, please feel free to ask.
Sister, we will wait a few minutes to see if we have any questions or questions. After that, we will conclude the session, inshallah. Thank you so much, Sister Sarah, for this wonderful presentation. Uh, as I want to say once again that our spring 2026 semester admissions are on. So you can get 20% discount if you guys enroll before December 31st. Thank you everyone for joining. Assalamu alaikum.